Alrighty, I don't know what to make of this. It is troubling. It's concerning. Hopefully, it's not going to affect the long-term interest of justice. But some big doings yesterday involving that quadruple murder in Troy last month. The Rensselaer County DA took some unusual steps to keep the two suspects in jail in the slaying of 4 people in Lansingburg. And there are a lot of issues now with new charges, etc. Maybe problems with police questioning. We're joined by our legal analyst Paul Harding from Martin Harding Mazzotti. Hi, Paul. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
So, all right, this is complicated. We have a lot of people, a lot of charges, a lot of legal maneuvers. But preliminary hearing yesterday, supposedly, for these 2 murder suspects, and it looks like the DA's office in Rensselaer County made a few legal maneuvers to make sure these guys could still be kept in jail. What's going on here?
That is a great question, but I'm going to try to boil it down just a little bit. So what happens, you get charged with a crime, in fact, a felony, you're arrested and you're in jail. So you just can't hold someone forever. So the rule says you've got 144 hours, about 6 days, to either have a preliminary hearing, which is going to give the judge more information that says, yeah, we can hold these guys longer, or there's going to be an actual indictment, which is a very official kind of rendition of the charges against you, meaning you have to have more information within 144 hours. So in this case, preliminary hearing was held. There was no indictment, and they canceled it. Well, in theory, if there were no other charges, both these guys just walk out the courtroom. They just kind of head home and sort of begin their day. But with both situations, they had, as you say, there was another charge filed, kind of ramped-up charge filed against James White, what they call Murder 1, serious charge. And then with Mr. Mann, Justin Mann, he's on a parole violation. So he's being held on something really kind of small, technical, because these underlying charges, because of the 144 hours, were not additional information about the charges, were, in essence, no more.
Let me ask you this, though. Would the surveillance video of them, on the CDTA buses and leaving the apartment, all that stuff, wouldn't that be enough to present at a preliminary hearing as enough evidence to hold them a little bit longer?
So you don't need to prove your case at a preliminary hearing, to your point. There looks like if they arrested them and everything that we're kind of finding out here, yeah, there's probably a lot more than that, and you wouldn't even have to lay the whole case out, just enough for a judge in a preliminary hearing to say, hey, we're going to keep these guys, again, pending indictment. But for whatever reason, often in a case like this, in fact, in a case like this, it is normally an indictment. There's not a preliminary hearing because you don't want the witnesses to have to testify twice and present the evidence twice. So, yeah, this is super atypical. Expected that there would not be a preliminary hearing, that there would have been an indictment prior thereto.
So do the original murder charges, do they still exist? Are they still valid?
Well, we're going to find out, right? So at this point, the arrest for those charges is no more. So had there not been an additional charge, in this case, again, murder 1 against one of the defendants, and a parole violation on the other, they would have walked out the courtroom door. So what is going to happen is they have the preliminary hearing scheduled for Tuesday. Prior to Tuesday, presumably here, it'd be unthinkable otherwise, that there's going to be an indictment. And that would circumvent the need for the preliminary hearing, and then the guys will be held.
So if they had, enough evidence to present to a grand jury, even if it was just the surveillance video that showed that they believe these were the guys who carried out this gruesome quadruple murder, including the deaths of 2 children, why could they not have gotten an indictment in the last 6 days?
There is that question, right? You think priority 1, right? We're going to let some of these other cases maybe linger a few days. This would have been the one, serious, probably the biggest thing that's happened in terms of this violent of a crime in our area in a very long time. So yeah, it really was baffling that this did happen the way it happened. But I think ultimately we're going to have indictments, and this little small chapter of this case will be kind of a footnote.
That's what I was going to ask you, if the case is in jeopardy, because I saw one report. They said that they anticipated a grand jury indictment, but that was hamstrung. But sources say there was a potentially improper police interrogation, and that's what held up what was expected to be kind of a routine indictment in the case. So I'm just wondering, would you say from what you're looking at from the outside looking in, that is this case in trouble?
I don't think the case is in trouble at all. I think this is going to move forward. There's going to be an indictment, and this piece of this was just a bit confusing.
It's important also to point out that this is the Rensselaer County DA's office, and Joel Labelle, who has been the subject of a number of investigations, whose office has dropped the ball in a number of lesser cases. Is this a matter of, he's also been accused of rushing things through and trying to get things resolved, really quickly, and sometimes making mistakes in the process. Now, is this a matter of him taking his time and making sure it's done correctly, or is it the opposite? I can't figure it out.
Well, I don't know either, but I would say this, that, you even if you didn't have all your ducks in a row in order to present the proper case to the grand jury, you probably have enough if you've arrested someone for this to get through the preliminary hearing and then ultimately. But you're in a situation where you don't want these guys, if they are in fact the murderers, if they did what they're maybe indicted quite quickly to prove, then you want them off the street quickly. You just do. And so now maybe you don't have all your ducks in a row for this indictment. So it is a catch-22, where if it was a less serious crime, you might wait a few weeks to arrest until you've got all your evidence. So, yep, the Labelle office has been under a bunch of scrutiny recently, so could be one to do it absolutely perfectly, didn't want to have any holes. But again, the appearance here was that it was just not routine, and was there a mess-up?
Well, it's unsettling. I hope you're right that things will just keep proceeding normally once Tuesday comes. Paul Harding, WGY legal analyst, 1-800-LAW-1010. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Much.